This week on It's Too Wordy, the thing about the cat, you see, she never leaves empty-handed. Welcome everybody to this week's episode of It's Too Wordy, the comic book podcast where three buddies discuss comic books from their childhood and today. I'm Kirk.
Nick.
Ryan.
How you guys doing this week?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
Really good?
Really good.
Yeah. Read some good comics this week? Anything?
I read some comics this week.
You read some comics this week? All right. Big news on the show front. I received a tweet from Suspicious Behavior Productions. It said, at the It's Too Wordy one, would it be possible to email you review copies of Invasion From Planet Wrestletopia? First of all, yes.
First of all, fuck yes.
Yes. So the premise of the book is when a disgruntled pro wrestler declares himself galactic champ of the universe, a planet of alien wrestlers views it as an act of war. So, yeah, we kind of decided to throw this in this week because this is really big for us. This is one of the things that I wanted to do with this show was have artists or creative teams send in their books for us to review before they come out. And it doesn't hurt that this 5-year-old wrestling geek over here got a comic book about wrestling. What'd you guys think?
It was really good.
I loved it.
It brought back the whole early or late 80s, early 90s wrestling for me.
Yep.
And you could hear the voices and...
Oh yeah, you can hear that monologue that he was doing the whole time. Like, oh my god, this is...
Sounded very much... Or I got like Hulk Hogan going in my head
when
he's doing it.
My favorite part is, I got fists of plutonium, I got the fans in pandemonium, I walked the danger aisle with a smile because I got style.
Ric Flair.
Yep, it just reminded me of Ric Flair right there. And I'm a huge Ric Flair mark, 80s Ric Flair mark, because nobody was better in the 80s than him.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what to expect with this thing, and I sat down and started reading it, and I got hooked almost immediately.
Yep, it took to page 3 for me.
It is so good.
It took me to the bear. Like once the bear showed up and he was going to be a wrestler, I was like, "Yup, this is right up my alley, guys."
Yeah, this is about his name is Rock and Roll Rory Landell. Rock and Rory. He's promised that he's going to go over and win the title, and at the last minute they change it, and he quits. And his manager is like,
He didn't quit until after he named himself the
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
Galaxy.
They were like, they wanted him to cut a promo. That's right. They wanted him to cut a promo. And so he did. In the wrestling world, he went into business for himself, is what it's called when they do stuff like that. They don't care about what's supposed to be done. They just say what they want to say. Yeah, I love the bear. The wrestling bear is awesome.
I loved how he made his championship belt out of a pizza box.
Yep. Hey, I made mine out of a license plate.
After I read the issue and then got to the end of it there and read the information about the people that wrote it and the colorists and everything, all of them are involved in wrestling.
Yep.
So it makes it even better because you got somebody that knows what they're talking about doing this.
And you go on their Twitter page and they talk about wrestling video games. And I saw one today. It was Bill and Ted's something, and it was Ted DiBiase and Bill Watts from Mid-South territory in the
Bill
80s.
Yeah.
Bill and Ted. You know, I was like, oh, that's awesome. I'm just a big wrestling geek. I still watch it. I don't watch WWE, though. I found some other things to watch, and that's what preoccupies me now.
No, this is definitely worth checking out. And it's cheap. I mean, it's $2 on
$2.
Comixology.
Yep. I'm hoping they have a hard copy of it.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely want to own this, and it was well worth checking out.
Yep.
Yeah, the writing is amazing.
Yep.
The art is awesome, and the coloring, it's just bright and clear, and yeah, it sets the mood and everything like that, and it's just like.
And it grabs you for the first issue. It grabs you like instantly. It's like, wow.
Yeah, this definitely needs to be checked out.
Yep. I'm going to go and say for a brand new book, it's a 5.
I didn't find anything wrong with it. I loved it. I laughed a lot.
Yep.
It's a 5.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to give it a 5.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably one of the best books I've read in a long time.
Yep.
For a current book, this was absolutely amazing.
You get hooked on the guy, like Rory, just like his storyline.
You are involved with him right from the beginning.
You know, he gets dicked over.
Yep.
And he does his own thing.
His mistress leaves him. because she's got a better lay in somebody else, and then his wife kicks him out because he only brought home $400.
That's his dad.
That was his dad.
That was his dad.
And that's issue 2.
Yes.
That was issue 2.
That
Yeah,
was.
that was his dad.
Spoiler.
His girlfriend is the girl in the bikini in the first issue.
Okay.
Now,
And
I
she
think
runs
that was
out-
all just her messing with him, wasn't it? Because that's how I read it. She was just screwing around saying that she was hooking up with somebody else, but she
Yeah.
really wasn't. Because
Yeah, I know,
then
I
she
know.
chased
Makes
the
him
door.
jealous.
Yeah.
Oh, such a good read.
It was a good read. We want to talk about the second one just a little bit.
I don't think we should give anything away,
Okay.
but
I laughed out loud a number of times in
Yep.
the second one.
The second
first one belted up and I got hooked.
Yep.
The second one, I laughed a lot.
Yep.
yep. I don't laugh out loud at most things, but yeah, I was laughing.
So, my nitpick with certain wrestling companies today is that they build things too quickly. This first book built it to where you wanted to see what happens the next issue.
Yep.
It built, and then it built. I was like, I want issue number 3 right
Yeah.
after I got done reading number 2, because I'm like, this is like old 80s wrestling
Yeah.
shows where they would just build it week to week to week to week.
And the colors were very vibrant in it, just like all the characters back in the 80s.
Yep. It was all, yep. And they talk about the territories.
Yep.
I don't. How old are you? Were you born in 70s?
I was born in the 70s. I'm 42.
Okay, I'm the same age, right? You watched wrestling, right?
Absolutely.
When we started watching wrestling was towards the end of the territory days,
Mm-hmm.
because WWF was buying up all the territories, and
Yeah.
so we know what they're talking about when they say the territories. I miss territories. I miss
Competition.
competition. You know, coming home after school and watching wrestling on ESPN every day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I miss that. And this book brought that back for me, where it was like, oh, I'm excited. I want to read this, you know? So this old wrestling geek loved it.
I've read the current WWE stuff, trying it out, and I think Dennis Hopeless does it, and he does a good job.
Yeah.
I mean, he captures the characters well and everything.
So he does better than the writing crew on the TV show?
We could do better than the writing crew on the TV show.
That's it's funny because it's true.
It is. The stories didn't make a lot of sense to me from what I was picturing for a wrestling book.
Yeah.
This was very involved with the industry. It kind of gave that
Yeah.
hint away, and that some of that backstage lingo.
Yeah. I miss the blood and where you think it's real.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's just a bunch of guys doing gymnastics, but
Which
there's
is
certain-
some of it's cool.
That's cool.
But
Some of it is cool. But now you got these companies that are, like independent, where they bleed.
Yeah.
And it looks like a real fight.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely get this book. It's worth spending $2 on Comixology, guys. All right. Anything else on this?
No, it was funny that we got a wrestling book about intergalactic wrestlers.
Yes, it was.
I was like, did they listen to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and the Interdimensional Wrestling
Did
Federation?
they listen to our show? Because
Damn.
this kind of reminded, it kind of had a certain, it felt like somebody was copying us. Just kidding, guys. This is way better than what.
Hey.
Just kidding. Well, all of ours is on the fly. They actually have a. they're actually
they have
writing.
writers.
They have writers. We're calling it in the ring. No, I love the Turtles show. I can't wait for it to come back.
But yeah, if you could have sent this to anybody that was more appropriate for this book, I don't think you could have.
Nope.
I don't think you could have found a group that was more appropriate to read this comic.
You found the right guys to review this comic book. The other books we're going to review this week is Black Cat #1, and then we dive into Mystery Month with Batman Hush. If you guys saw I don't know if you guys saw the Twitter blurb I put out today. Will Batman figure it out this time, or will he be 0-3?
Yeah, I did see that one.
All right, let's start with Black Cat #1. Go.
This was a very good Selena Kyle early adventure.
Ouch.
So, for those that don't know, Selena Kyle is Catwoman in the DC Universe. I did not enjoy this a whole ton for the price that I paid for it.
Okay.
It felt kind of kiddish to me. I actually thought the art was decent. And there was there 3 stories in there, I think?
Yeah, there's 3.
Yeah. So for that, I mean, you are paying $4.99 for it. You're getting 3 stories. But nothing happened that grabbed my attention enough to go, I definitely need to check this out the next time around.
That's fair. I liked it because I'm a big Spider-Man fan. I've been waiting for this book to come out for a few weeks. I'm not saying it was perfect, but I liked it enough to where I didn't really know too much about her because all I ever saw her was the bad guy.
Yeah.
And now we're going to get to know her a little more. Hopefully she isn't a complete Selena Kyle ripoff.
I don't think that's ever not going to be a comparison.
No. It's kind of like Deadpool and
Deathstroke.
Yeah. You know, Slade and Wade. It was decent for a first run. What'd you think, Nick?
I like the story where her dad is playing cards against Dracula. That's pretty awesome.
That was pretty awesome.
It's a crime comic. I'll say that.
It's a mystery.
Okay.
Sorta?
My biggest pet peeve, right? So comic pages are 12 by 17 inches tall, I think, right?
Correct.
Don't get lazy. When you get lazy, I'll notice it and I will hate your stuff. When you don't draw a nose and you're just like, I'm not going to put that here.
Which page is that on?
She's riding on top of the car and she's laying down. She's saying, right, the security guy, are you totally obsessed with me now? That panel? And she doesn't have a nose.
Oh,
That's
bottom
just
right.
straight up lazy.
Yeah, she did kind of remind me of Catwoman a little bit.
They could have went in more with her bad luck powers.
Yeah.
A little bit. They kind of glossed over that.
Yeah, the only time you saw it was with the security guard, I think.
Right. And her dad shows up at the end, which is the Black Fox, which is an old Spider-Man villain. But,
Yep.
I mean, that was pretty cool, but...
And then they go into the story of her dad. What is that, the last one? The last story?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. What do you give it?
2.
I'm going to go 3.
I'm going to go 3 because it's got a Dracula in it. It's got Bloodstone in it.
I'm going because Black Cat doesn't have a nose.
Sorry, you get lazy in the artwork, and I'm going to find it. It drives me nuts.
That just means you're paying attention, and you should be calling them out on it.
When I was in 3rd grade, we had an artist come in, and he was showing us like all his artwork and stuff that he was selling. And he was one of those guys who couldn't draw 2 eyes to be symmetrical. So he would leave the eye out. Instead of trying to learn how to draw it properly, he'd just leave it out.
Okay.
So it's a lot of side profile.
No, it was straight on.
Straight on, he'd be like...
Straight on. It would be...
They look like Popeye?
It's an artistic thing to leave the eye out. I'm like, no, it's lazy because you can't draw it.
Get him, Nick. Get him.
When you're a lazy artist, it bugs me. The Art Germ variant is very nice, though.
Yeah. No, all of his stuff is really clean. He's got quite the following for his books. Actually, his first cover, I think, was a Batgirl cover, and it's going for 100 and something now just because he did the cover.
Yeah. That kind of makes sense. Because he's not like he's going to do interior work.
Yeah. No, he is a really good artist.
But what covers did everybody get? You got the J. Scott Campbell one?
I just grabbed one. I can't read the name on this one. Oh, is that Campbell? That's Campbell.
Yeah.
I did not get the J. Scott Campbell. I don't know where the thing is.
Probably back to...
Well, there's only like 25 of them. There's like 25 covers for this book.
Yeah.
I'm glad we went back to the 90s.
Anyway, I got one of them. Not going to waste my time looking for it. So now we're going to move on to Batman. Nick, go ahead.
Okay. So I read this book when it came out because it was a big deal at the time.
It was a big deal. I remember it.
Jim Lee doing Batman? How could this go wrong?
Yep.
Let me tell you.
You didn't like it?
No, I really did like it. I don't like it now.
Okay.
No, I mean, it's good. I mean, but it dates it.
Yeah.
It dates it to 2000's 1999 book.
2013 is when that came out.
Mm-mm.
No?
2001.
2001?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So...
Well, slap me in the face.
Okay, here you go. Let's start at the beginning. Batman is going after kidnapped kid on a steamship, if I remember right. He's like, I have 2 minutes to get this kid out of here before the kidnapper shows up. He miscalculates, and the kidnapper shows up, and it's Killer Croc. But it's not like the Killer Croc that we all know. It's a mutated Killer Croc.
Mutated Killer Croc.
And so Batman fights the Killer Croc, and Killer Croc is doing this for $8 million. He kidnapped the kid for, right?
Only $8 million?
I think it was 10.
It was $10 million?
He's coming cheap.
So Killer Croc chases Batman down. They fight. He loses the money, and you see Catwoman go away with it. And Batman goes after Catwoman after Killer Croc gets arrested and put into Arkham Asylum. As he's swinging, somebody cuts the line that he's swinging on. He falls. He breaks his skull. He has a little piece of skull in his brain. He breaks his shoulder. He hurts his back again, and he gets knocked out. And Oracle contacts help to help him out. Right. So he's unconscious. He's in Crime Alley. He's surrounded by homeless people who want to kill him. This is by memory.
You're doing good.
So she calls for help. Huntress arrives, whoops the shit out of these guys.
Yeah.
And Batman's still conscious, and he's like, I never noticed her anger before. It's like, bullshit, you've never noticed it. You've noticed it every time you meet her. Every time. He's like, maybe I should have a talk with her. Like, maybe you should. Maybe you should give that girl a hug.
She needs a hug.
She needs
Bruce.
one. So they
gotta get a hug.
She puts Bruce back in the Batmobile, and it drives itself back to the Batcave, right? It's Batcave.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And Alfred's stitching him up, but he gets to a part where he can't do anything. And Batman's tapping Morse code onto the table for Tommy Elliot, right? And Tommy Elliott's a boyhood friend who became a really good surgeon.
Who I thought was Hush.
Oh, it's a big thing. But he's just Hush.
I thought he was Hush.
They also call in Dr. Consolving, which is the girl who fixed Batman's back when it got broken. And Alfred was like, isn't she a little nuts? And they're like, well, she got better. Like, well, hopefully, because she had a brain of a child when you saw her last.
Yeah.
The money ends up going to Poison Ivy.
Yep, because she's got Catwoman under her spell.
Right. Another Poison Ivy story.
Yep. That's 2 in a row, guys.
I can't remember the rest of it. Anybody want to take it from here?
Okay, so...
Poison Ivy ends up going to Gotham, and Batman chases down Catwoman, and they start kind of working together, and Catwoman, I think that's where she lays a kiss on him or whatever. And so he starts contemplating whether or not he should be romantically involved with Catwoman. They go to Gotham, they pair up, and he goes in as Bruce Wayne opposed to Batman because that makes Superman less suspicious, apparently. And
he flirts with Lois, which was really funny.
He does flirt with Lois in front of Clark. And Poison Ivy takes control of Superman because Superman's going to go check out what's going on. And so Batman and Catwoman start fighting him. And they came up with a plan for Catwoman to go off and kidnap either Jimmy, Lois, or Perry. She went ahead and went with Lois because the heart's the weakest spot. Superman, in the meantime, is trying to hold his punches because he is under Poison Ivy's spell, but he knows what's going on, too. He's aware of what's happening.
And also, Batman went into the tunnels and found a kryptonite ring that Luthor had hidden.
Yep.
And so
and
he's using
lead
that
pipes
too.
and everything, yeah.
Yep.
What a great detective. He knows everything about his enemies.
And to get Clark or Superman to break out of the spell, Catwoman threatens drops Lois off of a building. Superman goes and saves him, and he's like, how did you know that would work? Well, I've been under Ivy spell before, too. And then they bust Ivy. I can't remember who goes next. Is that...
Harlequin.
That's right.
Harley.
Okay, so then they go to the theater. He goes to the theater with Tommy Elliott and Selena Kyle, the true Catwoman. And
Black Cat?
And Harley Quinn shows up and starts robbing everybody. So Bruce goes off and changes into his Batman costume, goes to save the day, gets hit in the head again.
Yeah. The one day I decide not to wear the extra piece of metal in my helmet.
And Catwoman ends up saving him, but then he ends up saving her from getting shot. And he goes out chasing Harley in the alleyway.
Tommy's chasing Harley because she stole his mom's necklace.
Yeah. And then Joker is sitting out there, and Tommy's on the ground. And it appears that Joker had shot Tommy Elliott. This whole time, every time a villain shows up, there's a guy with bandages around his head watching what's happening.
Did you come up with who all the people were with the bandages on their head?
I will think about it.
All right.
But there must have been a sale on this coat, because not only does Killer Croc wear it, but
Yeah,
at
he
least
pointed
4
that out.
more guys wear this thing.
He pointed it out a couple of times, or in one panel where he's like, everybody's got this coat.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure Bruce Wayne has a few hundred of them. Batman kind of loses it. He realizes that Joker has, people like Joker have killed a lot of people he cares about, and he is just like pounding the crap out of Joker.
Yep.
Almost to the point where he's about to kill him. I mean, he hits Catwoman and pushes her off and says, leave me alone. And Jim Gordon shows up and shoots him and kind of snaps him out of it. And then I can't remember where it goes next.
Where are we? Sorry, I was writing
Jim
down.
Gordon, Joker. So the Joker gets taken away.
Mm-hmm.
And then was that the Riddler?
Yep. Then it's the Riddler.
Riddler shows up and provides a riddle because he'd be a really good villain if he didn't. I'm going to give away where I'm going to be at all times. And takes this armored truck. But he really doesn't fit into the whole Hush plan, per se. So Batman's trying to figure out what the connection is there. In the meantime, they go to Tommy's funeral. All of the Bat family is there, kind of supporting him, and everybody's like, have you ever heard him talk about this Tommy Elliott? Well, like Nick mentioned, Tommy Elliott's a childhood friend who's a very good strategist and would play war with Bruce all the time. Tommy's parents got in a car wreck when he was a kid.
Yep.
And Thomas Wayne
he couldn't save him.
Couldn't save the dad. The
dad-
mom
the
survived.
Nope.
That's right.
He saved his dad, but his
No.
mom died.
No, the dad died.
You sure?
I'm positive and the mom stayed alive, but ended up dying down the road with cancer.
Okay, your mom is going to be just fine. See, I
Yeah.
told you. And my dad, I'm sorry. I did everything with. Okay, yeah, it was hard to remember.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many villains that showed up in this, and so many exchanges that you're just trying to keep up with.
I think they decided to put every villain in here. Does Penguin show up?
Penguin does.
Ventriloquist doesn't show up, which would
They
be
made
awesome
a
if they
reference to Penguin because didn't it? Was that? No, that was the other one. Long Halloween's
did. Yeah,
in my head on that too.
We're getting them all running together now.
But it's funny, like the Nightwing shows up and they're going to go out and investigate the Riddler, and they're like, "Let's take the car." And then Nightwing's like, "Which one?" And they go out to a zoom out of the Batcave, and there's like eight of them.
Yeah.
And what I liked about that is Dick is the only person that can talk. Dick
Grayson
is the only guy that can really talk to Batman the way he talks to Batman. And he's like, "Hey, so there's this rumor going around that you kind of have this relationship going on with Catwoman. You probably really need this. If you trust her, you need to tell her who you are and move forward in this relationship because you really need that balance."
Dick Grayson, Peter Parker of the DC universe.
He
So
holds
that was a
everything
really
together.
cool scene. And Batman does show Catwoman who he is.
Right, at the same time that Hush is removing his bandages in front of the Joker.
And bailing Joker out.
Yep.
Which was another funny line by Dick because he's like, maybe we can put him away in jail for a little bit longer than a day and a half now.
And no, he didn't.
Which I have an argument on that at the end of this.
The first incarnation of Hush in this is Two-Face, but his face is fixed.
Yep.
So you're like, okay, so there's a doctor involved in this,
Uh-huh.
right? So yeah, like Bruce shows himself to Catwoman, and she's like, "Oh, all right, let's do something." Pretty much.
She's like, yeah, you're a billionaire. Yeah, let's get it on.
I'm gonna steal from you all the time.
And so Bruce is thinking there's got to be a lot of money behind this. So he's like, Ra's al Ghul is the guy to go after. He goes and kidnaps Talia, who is not on speaking terms with Ra's, but for whatever reason, Ra's is keeping track of her. Catwoman's babysitting Talia, and so Lady Shiva comes in, starts beating her up, cuts Talia loose. Talia's starting to escape, comes back, knocks Shiva out, and helps Catwoman, and realizes that Catwoman and Bruce and Batman have a thing going on. In the meantime, Batman is fighting Ra's al Ghul, and Ra's is ticked off because somebody used his Lazarus pit, and once you use it, it dries up, so now they know that somebody was brought back from the dead.
Tommy Elliott? Conveniently killed in the issues beforehand?
Or Jason Todd.
Or Jason Todd.
Have we gotten to the...
Not yet.
Not yet.
So Batman's getting patched up by Alfred again, and he has his shirt off, and Catwoman's like, "Whoa, what happened here?" And he's like, "Oh, you forgot about this," and is one of the spots where he got tore up by Catwoman in one of their early battles.
It is funny, though, that this guy's a billionaire playboy who's supposedly always with the ladies, but as soon as he takes that shirt off and he's just covered in scars, you're going to have questions. It's like watching Arrow.
What do you do for a living?
Every time Oliver would take his shirt off, you're like, Jesus Christ. He's just covered in scars. And it's like, yeah, you've been doing something weird for your spare time.
What's your hobby again?
That's
Skydiving?
That's a lot of car crashes, Bruce.
Skydiving, car crash, or race car driving? What is it?
Well, we come to find out that Bruce is a little bit paranoid now, because the one thing that is different than any other time is that he's in this relationship with Catwoman. He has Robin kind of get into a fight with Catwoman, so she takes off so they can track her. And she bolts out saying, "I'm taking one of the Bat motorcycles," and Bruce is like, "You can take..." "No, I'm not asking, I'm taking..."
Yeah, that was funny. I'm taking that one.
Then Huntress goes flying by, and she seems like she's a little off and gets into a fight with Catwoman. Come to find out, because we need a Scarecrow appearance, Scarecrow is involved with this, making Huntress questioning her abilities and things like that. Batman ends up fighting Scarecrow in a cemetery, and that's the same cemetery that Jason Todd, the second Robin, was buried in. Only Bruce and Alfred, maybe a couple other people, know where he's at because they moved him. at the cemetery. So somebody obviously knows the background of all these characters. All of a sudden, a Jason Todd with the jacket shows up. The same jacket that everybody owns. They must have had a sale that day.
Had a sale on the trench coats.
And I love the artwork on that Jason Todd. Just
He looks amazing.
He looks awesome.
So Batman and Jason Todd start getting into a fight. He keeps on calling Jason Todd keeps calling Tim Drake, the current Robin at this time, a fake. And Batman's noticing Jason Todd's fighting style is very similar to something he's seen before.
His friend Tommy?
No.
Oh.
He was mimicking Nightwing.
Ooh.
Because there wasn't enough material to figure out how to mimic Jason Todd.
Yep.
So he was actually mimicking Nightwing. So he knew it was a fake. And come to find out, it's Clayface, who melts away and goes into the sewer systems or something like that and moves on with his life. Batman goes back, or earlier in the issues, Batman did find, Ra's al Ghul left a sword in the computer, and Batman went back and reanalyzed the computer thinking, oh, there's got to be something here. Sure enough, there was a device there, and way back when Batman broke his back in 94, there was a guy that was working in the cave named Harold who couldn't talk, so he was trying to kind of help this homeless guy out and do the mechanical end of things for the Batcave and all that. So Harold did create this device, but he didn't want to hurt Batman, so he made it kind of more generic than what it was supposed to be. So Batman's facing Harold out in the rain, who has the same coat.
Yep. And he can talk now, because he was a mute before.
Yep.
So
he
you're
had
thinking,
surgery.
there's a doctor again.
And right when he was about to give away who it was that did it, he got shot in the head. Batman turns around, and there's another guy in the same jacket with bandages on his head.
There's a lot of bandages and trench coats going on here.
Must have been a sale.
Yeah, big sale.
Big sale. At
sale.
Walgreens,
Kohl's.
for the bandages, Kohl's, whatever.
And come to find out, they're fighting, and it is Tommy Elliott that's under the mask, or the bandages, so you think. And he is shot by the previous bandage holder, Two-Face, who showed up with Jim Gordon to help Batman out. The guy falls into the water. Tommy Elliott guy falls into the water. Batman goes diving for him, can't find him. Two-Face gets arrested because he shot Tommy Elliott to begin with.
Can you really be charged with shooting a dead man?
But he's the one that killed him.
Oh, there you go.
Can
he be charged twice? Or was he not charged the first time?
There's some flaws in this book. And Batman's starting to get suspicious since Tommy worked on him to help heal his head. So he had Bruce look in the back of Superman look in the back, use his X-ray vision to look in the back of his head. Yeah, there's a little something there. Superman burns it out. And then all of a sudden, Batman's talking to somebody. He's talking to the Riddler. And the Riddler, for whatever reason, went and saw Tommy Elliott for an operation as well. And they started exchanging stories. And the Riddler helped set all this stuff up. Because Tommy Elliott didn't have the connection to all the villains. But the Riddler knew what to kind of do to push everybody's button. And the Riddler figured out that Batman and Bruce Wayne are the same person. So let's see. I love the Riddler's line in the Batman and Riddler's exchange here. Riddler says, "Riddle me this. Who is that under Batman's mask? And now the world is my oyster. Right, Bruce? What time is it when an elephant sits on a fence? What?" And so he repeats again, "Time to get a new fence. Everyone knows that one's worthless. That's why I have nothing to fear from you. You had to tell Elliot, but no one else. Not even Clayface, when he was playing Robin. I know you, Edward Enigma, maybe better than you know yourself. Riddles are your compulsion, your addiction, and a riddle that everyone knows the answer to is worthless." So he basically called the Riddler out. Riddler's not going to be telling anybody, and then got knocked out by Batman. And then he and Catwoman kind of had a moment.
I like the guard. What happened? He fell.
And it wraps up with Catwoman and Batman having a moment, and Batman's like, yeah, I'm not quite ready for this, and they took off. I love the Batman Catwoman storyline. Tom King's doing it with the Batman line right now. I just want to see Bruce and Catwoman get together. Or Batman and Catwoman get together.
They're supposed to get married.
They're supposed to get married.
What happened to that?
Read Batman number 50, Tom King's run, to find out. Now, my question on this is, Two-Face got the Joker out because he didn't technically shoot Tommy Elliott. But he has escaped how many other times and done so many other things. Don't they have enough built up on him to keep him in Arkham?
Gotham is corrupt.
I'm like, wait, what? No, come on. There's enough there to keep them. So that is Hush.
I don't know how Nick feels, but everybody here knows that Jim Lee is my favorite artist. So I'm going to be a little biased. And I love the book, the art in the book.
Oh, the art's amazing.
I didn't read it a second time because I was afraid it would ruin it for me because I really liked it the first time.
Right.
So I just flipped through, kind of making sure. I don't know how to rate it. I think you should read it because it's a pivotal book for Batman.
I don't feel that he did a ton of detective stuff again. Everything kind of just fell in his lap.
Wait, is he 0 for 1 and 2 or is he 0 and 3?
He figured out the Riddler part,
Yeah.
but did he figure out who was in the mask?
We can't do 1 and a half or a half and 3.
You
Or
can give him a
half and
50%.
2.5. A half and 2 and 2.5.
I think I figured out who was underneath that mask.
Yeah,
The Invisible Man.
there you go.
No, Negative Man from Doom Patrol.
Ooh.
Oh, nope. Unknown Soldier. Nobody ever has bandaged faces in DC Comics.
Well, I enjoyed reading it. It's not one I pick up and read every year again, like I have on a couple other ones.
It's considered the best Batman story.
I really liked Court of Owls though. That was my favorite so far.
And that's a good story. I like this one better than Court of Owls.
The first volume of Court of Owls, not the second. The second one was okay.
For me, this is a 4.5. I didn't feel like it was dated or anything like that.
I'm going 4.5. Nick,
I will say that they're wrong, and this is not the best Batman story ever written. That would be Arkham Asylum. This is a close second, maybe, for me. So I give it a 4.5.
over Long Halloween.
Long Halloween has a 5, so maybe this is third.
Okay. I'm going 4.5.
Oh, well, no, okay. This is 4. Death in the Family is number 3. The Killing of Jason Todd.
I haven't read Death in the Family yet,
That was pretty good.
so
See, and I think the Venom story from Legends of Batman is up there.
Yeah.
I could see how people would think that. I mean, because this got a lot of hype.
It did because Jim Lee was on it.
hype. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
and Green Lantern shows up in here.
Yep. The Alan Scott Green Lantern, Tommy and Bruce saw them as a child, and then got promptly grounded into their hotel room in.
So Jim Lee started Image with Liefeld, McFarlane, and then he leaves, and now he's like the publisher and creative director or whatever it is. I can't remember his title for DC.
Right.
Yeah. Follow the Money.
Yeah. I've loved him since I saw him when I first got my first X-Men book. So,
no, his art is
which is going to hurt in a few minutes for random reads, but anyway, so I give it a 4.5. 4. 4.5.
4.5.
All right.
Okay, 4.5 for the Green Lantern appearance and the icicle.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
So now we're going to move on to the random reads segment. It's become my favorite part of the show. I will go first this time since Ryan just did a
Absolutely
lot of talking. Give him a break for a minute. I originally was going to do Wildcats Compendium by Image, and then I got 2 issues in, and I was like, the story doesn't make any sense. The artwork's awesome, because it's Jim Lee, but maybe my tastes have changed since the 90s, and I've read some really good stories, and I'm just...
Wildcats doesn't hold up real well either. Does is it Youngblood?
Yeah, they made an appearance in here. So, I'm not going to do this as much... I just wanted to let you know that I couldn't put you guys through me explaining first 4 issues of Wildcats. So what I did instead is I got Wolverine number 8, where it's Patch and the Grey Hulk from the first volume of Wolverine. And it starts out, Hulk is in Madripoor, which we all know is Wolverine's city. He owns it. This is his turf.
Jessica Drew.
Over Wolverine.
She was there before. When she lost her spider powers, she was living in Madripoor. She appears in issue 1.
I thought we were just shouting out at random.
Spider-Woman!
No, she's in this one too.
Yeah. So
yeah. You open up. He even says, "This is my city," in this book. And Grey Hulk is throwing a temper tantrum because somebody put a bunch of purple pants in his hotel room. Anybody want to guess who did it?
Spider-Woman.
Anybody?
Wonder Man.
So he gets a note and it says, "We know who you are. Get out of town." And then they go to this nightclub and, you can't tell it's Wolverine. He's got a patch over his eye. He's got a patch. You can't tell. And
He's so imaginative.
he's talking about everybody. He's talking about everybody in the bar, in the club. And there's Jessica Drew.
Yep.
With the chief of police, or commissioner, or whatever he is. And Grey Hulk walks in looking like a 1940s mafia gangster.
He was when he was the Grey Hulk.
Was he?
Yeah, he was a mobster in Las Vegas.
Oh.
He was a mobster's
Was that when he was Mr. Fix-It?
Yeah.
Yeah, his name is Joe Fixit.
He was a bodyguard.
Yeah.
For the mob.
Okay. Makes so much more sense why he's dressed like this. So he starts roughing people up in the club. He says, I'm looking for a guy named Patch. And Wolverine goes, I'm Patch. And then he's like, they start talking, like, you're supposed to help me. And he's like, suppose I say no. And they're all taking bets on who's going to win. And they all are taking Patch. Because they don't know who this Joe Fixit guy is.
Because there's a lot of guys walking around that belt.
Yeah.
And tall.
Yeah.
We've never watched the news.
So anyway.
American news, it's all fake.
Patch backs down and says he'll help him. And Jessica Drew is asking for money that she bet the commissioner on, saying that the commissioner was saying Patch would annihilate him. And they walk outside and a tanker splashes water all over Hulk's suit. Hulk gets mad because it's a very expensive suit. And he proceeds to smash the tanker. And it's a tanker full of shit. Raw sewage.
Well, that's a bunch of crap.
He has to change. And guess what he has to wear? Purple pants. And he's upset that he's wearing purple pants.
Now everybody recognizes him?
I guess. So Wolverine takes him to this looks like a speakeasy. Got the little, you do the secret knock. And it comes out to be a human trafficking ring. And the Hulk just don't put up with that, so he gets the Hulk to bust him out while he uses that as a distraction. All the ladies are all over him because they saved him. Oh, you're so awesome. Oh my God, right? And they're like, they go back to the hotel, right? They talk to the cops and they go back to the hotel. And he wakes up and he remembers having a night with 4 ladies in the hotel. But come to find out, during the day, he's Bruce Banner. And at night, he's the Grey Hulk. So Grey Hulk gets upset because Banner got all his fun. Got all his lady love. He falls over and Wolverine's like, you sleep well? And I love the inner dialogue of Wolverine in this. Like, just talking shit all the way through about the Grey Hulk. And he doesn't use his claws ever because this is the time when he
got declawed?
Dead.
I'm trying to think of any time that Wolverine and the Hulk have ever been together without costumes on. Without Wolverine wearing a costume.
This is the only one.
Yeah, so he wouldn't know what he looks like.
No. But he starts saying, you seem awfully familiar. We know each other? He's like, nope, because he's dead. He's not supposed to be alive. The X-Men are dead. They all died. And so he sends him in to go do something, and Wolverine cuts the beams out of the floor with his claws to make the Hulk fall through. And he ends up falling through and busting a huge drug ring. So Wolverine helped him out, but he made his life a living hell throughout the whole book, helping him find what he was supposed to be doing. Patch is like, I'm going to turn the Hulk loose on you. And the guys are like, think of my mother. She's sick. They're like begging not to have anything happen to him. Hulk says Patch owes him for the suit that he's ruined and all this stuff. And the chief of police comes and he's got 2 very familiar people. If you've read the earlier issues, I think it was number 4. I just can't remember their names. But it's the 2 guys that he takes on in issue 3 and 4, I think. Or 4. The Hulk gets his payback and punches Wolverine, and he's just like, I got the message, right? You showed me. And then the next day, they go to they're at the airport. He got first class. He's supposed to go west the whole way home, so he has the night. And the airline messed up and put the wrong direction. He was going east, and all you hear Hulk say is, Patch! At the end. For just a silly, knockoff caper, this is one of my favorite books. I read this a lot. Just I need something I don't have to really think about. One of my favorite covers, 2 guys in the tuxes. I'd recommend this one. What do you got, Nick?
Oh, okay. So I'm going to do another Hulk book. I read The Incredible Hulk Last Call. It just came out. It's by Peter David. And let me just tell you, it's the most depressing Hulk book I've read in my life.
But Peter David doesn't like to write dark stuff.
Oh, this is pretty damn dark. It starts off as a phone call to Bruce Banner is calling a suicide prevention hotline. because that's the person that Betty was always calling when she was thinking about suicide. So Betty's dead. She got infected with some abomination blood and is now dead. And Banner decides to call her because he's feeling suicidal too. They're talking about all the times that he's tried to commit suicide, like jumping off the Grand Canyon or putting a bullet in his brain, and the Hulk would always save him. And it's just like, good God. I was just reading it just like, okay, this is real fun. Then a little bit goes on, he's still talking to her, and he hears she keeps like having to go off of the phone line to get another phone call from some stalker that she has, and her stalker shows up and Banner hears her on the phone. Well, actually, let me back up a little bit. So he tells her that if this phone call doesn't go the right way, he has assigned somebody to shoot him with a high caliber rifle from a long distance away so he can't hear the gunshot. He won't know the exact time it's going to happen if he doesn't give them a signal, right? So he overhears a fight on the phone, and he's like, I know that voice. It's Mr. Hyde. She accidentally run into him in a bar, and he decided to stalk her and make her his, right? So he turns into the Hulk, they go in, and they have a little fight, and Banner realizes that life is worth living, blah, 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 like the Hulk isn't so bad, walks out, gives a little peace sign up in the air, and you see Deadpool with a rifle from a long way away on top of a rooftop. And Deadpool's like, I didn't want to do it anyway, you know?
Yeah. He would have done it because he's Deadpool,
and he didn't want to.
He would have no compunction shooting somebody in the head.
All right, so I'm going to move on to something a little bit more lighter. This is from 1997. It's called Young Heroes in Love. It's by DC. Sex, Lies, and Superheroics, right? The cover is a bedroom. There's some wine. It's tipped over, and a couple of costumes on the floor.
Whose costume?
The first thing you see is a woman's butt.
Nice.
So
nothing like 90s.
So pretty much, this is a book about a team that's getting built, pretty much grassroots. Like some guys know each other, and they're like, "Oh, we have superheroes. We know superheroes too. Let's all just get together." Right? It becomes less about them going out and fighting villains, but more into the interpersonal relationships that they have. Like she loves this guy, that guy doesn't like her, but he likes her, or something like that. And it's really funny, but it's totally 90s. I mean, there's a guy who's got like a soul patch. He's just a smoker, and he's got like round glasses. It's just super 90s.
Yeah.
But it's funny. I mean, there's a guy
It's really funny.
It's really funny.
You need some lightheartedness because some of these books are just they're depressing sometimes.
Yeah, there's Off Ramp, Monster Girl, Thunderhead. So Thunderhead is this big, tall, long-haired blonde guy, right? And he used to be in a band, but once he got his superpowers, his fingers were too big to play guitar, so he decided to be a superhero. So
I can't be a rock star, so I'm gonna be a superhero instead. That's awesome.
Off Ramp, he's totally 90s, right? But he drives like a 57 Chevy, and his power is to open more dimensional portals. So he takes the car anywhere he wants to go. They go recruit a new guy, and he's he's kind of like Jack Frost. His name's Frostbite. If this guy could be any more 1990s,
he looks a lot like Namor.
Yeah, but he's made of ice. He's got tattoos. He's got a belly button tattoo. He also has nipple rings.
Is it a sunburst?
And it's like a hook that comes up from his crotch.
I was gonna say he could be like Dave Bautista.
But yeah, so I love this book. I wish it would have kept going. I wish more people would have read it at the time. But yeah, I mean, I can't really say much more about it. I mean, you guys got to go read it. I mean,
the whole series was great.
Awesome. I'll have to borrow that sometime and read it.
This is precious to me. That's cool.
I return stuff eventually.
My third one, I picked up Zero Patrol by Continuity Comics. I was like, you know what? It's $1. I'll try it out. So the inside, these are all published by Neil Adams, right? So apparently, I'll just read this to you guys. Dear readers, when your publisher was living in New York, he spent a certain amount of time in Harlem and in Spanish Harlem. His reasons for traveling from Brooklyn to Harlem was simple curiosity. Two of these things he discovered there were a comic magazine called Delta 99 and a comic magazine called Legionnaires del Espacio, or Legionnaires of Space. Sometimes the second magazine was also called Circo por el Infinito, 5 for Infinity. Although your publisher likes 99, he loves Legionnaires. Unfortunately, Legionnaires has always appeared in Spanish but never in English. As years went by, the artist of the feature, Esteban Morato, went on to other features and other projects. And some of them, many of them, have appeared in American magazines. Esteban Morato has become known to an American audience, but never have Americans seen his early work. This, then, is Legionarios del Espacio. So what he did was Neil Adams went to this guy and redid his book. Like, he put it in English. He helped him out with a little bit of, like, translating and a little bit of the artwork, right? This book is pretty much Fantastic Four, Challenger of the Unknown meets Green Lantern, right? There's an alien who needs help, and he sends his spaceships down to 5 different people. They each have special abilities, and he takes them back to his home planet, right? And this home planet's pretty much destroyed because they created AI, and AI took over. All the robots decided to take over, and they said that humans, like the living things, weren't worth it. So they just killed off all the living things, all the living people. And it's these 5 people's jobs to go and destroy each center of their technology.
How you feel about it, Nick? Meh.
It is what it is. It's a continuity comic.
It was $1.
It was $1. It was worth reading once. I don't know if I'm going to collect the other 7 or 8 issues of it, but
Yeah. All right. What do you got for us, Ryan?
I have Super Team Family Presents number 12. This issue featured Green Lantern, Hawkman, and the Atom. It's a team-up book. Atom, in previous issues, is hopping across. His wife, Jean Lauren, is taken and is kind of like jumping from planet to planet somehow. She's like phasing in and out on these planets. So the Atom keeps on recruiting different members of the Justice League or the heroes to come and help him find Jean. And then so in this particular issue, it's Green Lantern and Hawkman. I've been kind of wanting to get it because Hawkman's one of my favorites, and Green Lantern is my favorite.
Is he?
He is. I don't know if I told anybody that yet.
We have a whole month.
Surprise.
We have a whole month coming up.
Yeah, it was a nice story. It wasn't great. It was early 80s. As a matter of fact, on the cover it says, "You could be in the Superman movie. Details inside."
Which Superman? 3? 2? 4?
They also have an advertisement for baseball cards that you can get from Twinkies. And the players listed are Jim Palmer, Joe Morgan, and Reggie Jackson. So early 80s.
Early 80s.
So it's got to be the early Superman. Right? It was a neat little story. I wouldn't necessarily recommend anybody running out to get it because it didn't finish the story. Adam had to recruit 2 more people for the next issue. I think it only went 13 or 14 issues. But, for me, it was a fun little read. Then I've got Crossfire and Rainbow by Eclipse Comics. Are you aware of this, Nick?
no. I've never seen that cover in my life, but I really, really want it.
Show me the cover. That is a pretty awesome cover.
So this actually came out, I think, in 83. It was an independent book. You can always tell it is a little bit independent because in 83, books were running about, 50, 75 cents, and this one was $1.25. And so on this, Rainbow is hanging out with the Marx Brothers, which is a comedy troupe from the 1940s-ish.
Yeah.
Which one are you again?
I'm Zeppo.
You're Zeppo.
You're
the one everybody
that I'm
forgets.
Zeppo.
He's the setup guy.
I'm the
for
setup
everybody,
guy.
for everybody in the games we play.
I'm a huge Marx Brothers fan, so I saw this. I'm like, okay, I'm going to pick it up and check it out. So Crossfire works for a newspaper. I don't know where we've heard that before. And Rainbow is apparently an android who has feelings for Crossbow. And somebody has hired the Marx Brother lookalikes to go in and put cyanide in Tylenol, essentially. So, sounds like the story that happened way back when. I can't remember when that was.
That was in the 80s.
Yeah.
80s somewhere.
Early 80s.
The syringes and the Pepsis.
Yeah.
Now we have to have, seals on everything.
Yep.
There's 2 seals on your Gatorade.
Yeah.
Well,
tell me why they got to have the plastic stuff around the lid, and then you take the lid off the ketchup, and it's got another. Okay. Anyway, keep going, Ryan.
this was great.
Yeah?
I really
It was
enjoyed
fun.
it. The art is amazing. They did a good job with that. They did a good job of building up the characters. And this is a part 2 of a 2-part miniseries. So I've got a third one of a different storyline that I haven't read yet. But this was just fun. I enjoyed it. You got the development of the characters. Rainbow has a secret, but she's not telling Crossfire what it is. And Crossfire, so instead of worrying about all the events that are taking place and why people are poisoning drugs and everything, his big problem is, what's her secret? And it is not deodorant, I will tell you that. These Marx Brother lookalikes, they got the whole story, the speech and everything down exactly how they do it. It was a fantastic book. I got this. We have that comic convention that comes through once a quarter here in Omaha. I got this from the guy's box of books where you get like 5 of them for like $1 or something like that.
What's it called again?
Crossfire and Rainbow. And whenever I see that, or whenever he's in town, I always look for these goofy publishers to try to check out some of their stuff.
And who is it?
It's Eclipse Comics.
Eclipse Comics.
It was very entertaining. If you can find it, check it out. It is dated.
What number is it?
This is number 2.
Okay.
The DNA Agents miniseries, number 2 of 2.
Sweet. Did you read like 30 books this week
No.
to get
no,
get over your 25 that you read last week?
I didn't. I actually only had these 3 that I was going to do, and
Oh.
then I had to take my son to the dentist this morning, so I needed something to read, so I took this other book and I finished it. And I'm like, yeah, I've got to talk about this. So,
Okay.
I also have Legion of Superheroes 295. I am not a Legion of Superheroes fan. I can't understand all the people in it, and there's like 40 different versions of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so hard for me to get into.
Are they like Super Friends?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Super Friends I could keep track of. These have a bunch of characters that apparently that worship Supergirl and Superboy, and what they go out and recruit them. But anyhow, the reason I picked this up is there happens to be 3 Green Lanterns on the cover. Legion of Superheroes are in the future. These are a bunch of kids running around with some kind of superpowers. This story was basically, they created something where they could see the beginning of time. They see a hand holding the planets and creating the galaxy, and all of a sudden this lightning comes in and just blows them up. They can never get past it. They can't figure out where the lightning's coming from. So the Guardians of the Universe think it's Lightning Lad that is doing this. And Lightning Lad's like, nope, not me. Well, turns out that it actually goes into Kronos, who was one of the original Guardians, and he got too big for his britches and wanted to find out how the world was, or space and everything like it was created. So he started looking into it, and he had the exact same problem. So the Guardians didn't even create the lightning. It's this extra power that's preventing anybody from seeing like the Big Bang. And the whole thing is one of the Legion of Superheroes has to make a decision to stay with the team or to go off with his girlfriend because his girlfriend's all upset about being kind of kicked off the team. So one of the other Legionnaires is having him watch these videos of all this happening. And I don't understand how the decision came up because the story itself didn't make any... I mean, it was kind of cool that they kept it in continuity with what happens actually in the Green Lantern universe. But he ends up making the decision that he's going to go and beg the girlfriend to stay, but he's going to stick with the Legionnaires. And one of the Green Lanterns that showed up on the cover happens to turn into one of the villains. The second time a Green Lantern has turned evil, first being Sinestro, turns into one of the villains that they're fighting on a regular basis. I wouldn't recommend this. It was a challenge to get through.
Was it you had to push yourself?
Yeah, I'm like, Green Lantern's in this. I gotta read this.
Kind of like Compendium. I forced myself to read the whole thing.
Okay, so the final thing I ended up reading was Gideon Falls. Have you guys heard about Gideon Falls?
Nope.
You will, because it's been optioned, so all the speculators are out. I picked up the trades. I got the second trade. This is an amazing suspense book. I don't want to give away too much, but the whole premise is this guy is trying to rebuild this black barn because something happened in this black barn. And so he's in Gideon Falls, and when he's moving around and stuff, he's seeing like a piece of wood. He's like, oh, that belongs to the black barn. So he takes it. And everybody thinks he's kind of nuts. Well, he gets his therapist to start helping him with this. On the other side of it is a priest and a cop in this small town, and the cop's brother went missing, and this happened when they were kids, but at that time there had been like 30 murders in like a month and in this small town, so they're trying to figure out what was going on with it, and it started happening again, and the stories tie together. You don't figure out how they tie together until you read volume 2 of the trade, but they tie together. This reminds me a lot of like a Twin Peaks suspense, Dark Tower kind of feel to it. Excellent book. Go out, pick it up. Don't try to get the single issues because the first one's already through the roof because of speculators. But the trades themselves aren't all that badly priced. This is $17. And it was like 6 issues. Jeff Lemire does it. I'm not a huge Jeff Lemire fan, but this was well worth reading. I mean, and this is a trade. And I read it sitting in a dentist office for a half hour. So it is a quick read.
Wow.
But it did enough to keep me in suspense.
Quick read.
I mean, but it was one of those that you just, what's happening next? I got to find out what's happening next. And you just are booking, no pun intended, flying through it to find out. And they left it on quite the cliffhanger. I can't wait till the third one comes out.
All right. We're going to be doing our top 10 favorite X-Men of all time.
We start at 10, going backwards to 1.
Yes,
10
we
to
can
1.
discuss our...
Each one does 10, and then we do...
Then we make a list out of everybody's list.
Sure.
Want to do it that way?
That's fine.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Number 10 is Megan from Excalibur.
Okay.
Number 9 is Captain Britain. Number 8 is Archangel. Not Angel, but Archangel.
Mm-hmm.
Number 7 is Firestar. Yes, she's a member. They retconned it.
They did. They did.
Number 6 is Jean Grey. 5 is Havoc. 4 is Cyclops. 3 is Magneto. 1 is Professor X. Or number 2 is Professor X. And number 1 is Mimic.
And this is a list of our favorite X-Men.
Yep.
Okay, just confirming. All right, I'll go next because I'm not the X-Men expert. That's Kirk. So,
The expert.
expert.
I see what you did.
Getting prepared to be laughed out of the room. 10 is Morrow. 9's Maggot. 8's Blink. 7's Namor. 6 is Iceman. 5 is Domino. 4 is Jamie Madrox. 3 is Bishop from District X. Not Standard Bishop. 2 is Psylocke. And 1 is Mystique.
Well,
Okay. That's
A list.
I like your list. So my first one, number 10, Binary. She was on the team. 9 is Colossus. 8 is Cyclops. 7 is Jean Grey. 6 is Cable. 5 is Archangel. 4 is Rogue. 3 is Storm. 2 is Wolverine. And Cannonball's my number 1.
Did we have any matches on any of that?
no.
All right. Let the debate begin. No debate.
We can't really debate
We can't debate
who
anything.
we like the best.
Yeah.
I mean,
Should we even do a...
that's not going to be a hard thing to do.
to
If
just
we,
come down to a group top 10?
Right.
Because we
Well-
all have reasons why we put them in the top 10,
We could
right?
discuss why we think they're the number 1 is number 1.
Okay.
Ryan, you want to go first?
Absolutely.
All right.
All right. So my number 1 was Mystique. This is before the X-Men movies and Jennifer Lawrence turned blue. Or,
Rebecca Romijn.
yeah.
Rebecca Romijn.
No, I liked Mystique before then. Just the powers to be able to change into anything. That's something that I always wanted, that power to be able to kind of change my appearance and be anybody at any given time. And she had her own series there early mid-90s, and it got me to start reading some X-Men books because the art on the cover alone was just enough to grab my attention, and I really started following the character and enjoying the character. So honestly, it's just more of, that's the one that kind of got me reading some of the X-Men stuff. I'm still not a huge X-Men fan, but that character alone got me reading it. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have even touched it.
Freedom Force is one of my favorite. I do like Freedom Force, so she's good.
Number 1 for me is Mimic, Calvin Rankin. It's got to go back to like me reading the old Marvel universes when I was a kid, and he fascinated me because here's this kid, he's a mutant who can mimic anything. Like, he would know all the answers to his test just by mimicking his teacher's brain. He could mimic every mutant ability, but he was an asshole, and that made him so much more interesting than just being like a super nice kid like Iceman. He could take all the mutant abilities of the X-Men and put them all together into his own body. I thought that was really cool. So I sold like 8 short boxes of comics, and I got every Mimic appearance.
Nice.
So 8
That's
short
awesome.
boxes of comics equals 3 X-Men books.
3 X-Men books. Awesome.
I actually turned down getting issues 22 and 23 of the X-Men the other day. I was thinking about it because of appearance by Porcupine, but I just couldn't find the reasoning behind spending that much money to get an appearance of Porcupine.
That's a lot of money just for Porcupine.
That is a lot of money for Porcupine.
For like 3 panels of Porcupine.
Yep.
My number 1 was Cannonball. I was a fan growing up with the New Mutants. He is the only member besides Sunspot. Him and Sunspot. Sam's always been the leader of the group. He's one of the only ones who has had Professor X as his teacher, Magneto as his teacher, and Cable as his teacher. So he's got 3 different philosophies of how he can run a team. The other one is he's invulnerable
When he's blasting.
when he's blasting. And then he's also a High Lord. He's immortal. So he makes him incredibly tough to die. Unless I don't know, if they chop his head off like Highlander, does he die? Deadpool kind of ruined that. So probably not. So that's my number 1. There's a book, X-Force book, where it's in that god-awful Executioner song. the aftermath of Executioner song, they're all being held captive because of Cable, because Strife disguised himself as Cable.
Right, okay.
And they're being held captive, and they decide to let him go. And Sam is talking to Professor X, and he's like, dude, the path is ours to choose. Do we walk with the open hand? Or it's the open hand, and he tries to smack Professor X in the face. Or is it the closed fist? That comic book's one of my favorites just because of that. And Professor X is like, well, I hope they're good because they just stole like 40 years of our technology. And that was Cable. That was my number one. I guess we can't really pick a top 10.
Yeah, it would be really hard to do that with if you're picking favorites.
Yeah. They're all good lists. Mine's better, but they're all good lists. Just kidding, guys.
I wouldn't argue with you on that. You are the expert.
It's kind of fun having Binary and Rogue
Yeah.
in the same, because Rogue basically stole Ms. Marvel's powers.
It's always fun when those two meet up, though.
Yeah, they always beat the shit out of each other.
I kind of forgot about Binary.
It's funny, like, listening to or reading comments online about Ms. Marvel and all those little douchebags out there that are like, I can't wait for Rogue to show up and take that bitch's powers. It's like, you know what? Fucking grow up.
Yeah.
She doesn't say something that you like. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an actress.
Yep.
She's an actress. You can't blame a character for what an actress says.
Yeah.
And two, she was right. So go fuck yourself.
Yeah. Why didn't you smile? Why does she have to smile on the poster? Why?
Right.
Why?
Because she needs to do the Twilight posters where she has an open mouth the entire time. Every time you see that chick, she has an open mouth. And it's just like, why?
Yeah. I don't understand the hate.
I don't understand the hate.
Actually, go read Ms. Marvel.
Oh, she's got 9 failed series. Actually, that's just Marvel stopping their series when they were done.
It's not failed. It's just...
Kelly Sue and
DeConnick.
Yeah. Her Captain Marvel series was amazing. Love that.
This isn't some new character that they just created.
I will say her being with Alpha Flight in space, that was pretty bad.
That was bad. I didn't read past like issue 3 of that one. I was like,
I'm done.
I'm done.
I like Alpha Flight. I like Captain Marvel. I don't like them together.
They don't need to be together.
It's kind of like Tony Stark joining the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah. Or Ben Grimm joining the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Ugh.
Venom joining the Guardians of the Galaxy. Let's see, what other flavor of the month can we throw into the Guardians of the Galaxy?
Well,
Carnage. Let's throw Carnage in there.
Silver Surfer. Nova. Nova should be in there. Is it Richard Rider?
Yeah.
So,
the problem with Nova is they threw him in Secret Avengers, and he is way too powerful to hang around with normal people.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like, oh, let's go save these people from a ship that's got terrorists on it. Well, Nova would take care of that by himself.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't need Captain America running around behind him. Or Moon Knight. That was...
I kind of liked it I think I read 4 issues of that. I was like, this is okay, because I like Moon Knight. I had Nova, and it had... I was like, that's a good.
It was funny to see Moon Knight in an all-black costume, though.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god. It's a stealth suit.
All right. Anybody got anything else?
Did you guys want to talk about your trip yesterday?
Yeah, I was going to do that before we... Nick, myself, and my daughter Piper, we went down to Lincoln because I had some stuff to sell to Toys from the Past. And we ended up going into Behind the Glass and meeting Nathaniel Hamill. He's the owner of Behind the Glass. Great guy. He had people drawing, he had he puts the kids' artwork on the walls that he likes, and he's just a great guy. He gave us the whole spiel about how this is how I wanted a comic book shop to be, and I like the idea of having the flip throughs, is that what he called them? What they used to do with vinyl records, where you can sit there and go through the comic books like that. I like that idea. That's an awesome idea. Got him to sign a copy of Lenny Vernon, Badass Trucker, and hopefully he can find some more of his book Barbarian, because I'll pay him for it. Great guy. Gave me a great deal on New Mutants Annual number 2, and great deal on some other comics. All these comic pages on the wall.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, maybe I'll buy one. Oh, what's this one? This one looks pretty good.
There's been a couple of them I've looked at that I've been really interested in. And at the time, he was not willing to sell at that point.
Yeah.
But I still check in on it every once in a while,
Yeah.
see if he... there's a book called Wild Blue Yonder that I absolutely thought was fantastic. And He had a autographed page from that, I think.
Now, does he still teach?
I think he does. I think he helps Bob Hall out a little bit. Bob Hall is the creator of West Coast Avengers. And I think he does a course down there in Lincoln, and he'll jump in and help out Bob every once in a while.
Okay.
But he's got some fantastic connections. And
I thought it was a cool store. So we should probably give the address to this place. It's 3227 South 13th Street in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Yep.
It's easy to find. No, the store is awesome. It's like a treasure hunt. It's like everything you kind of want like a small comic shop to be.
Yep.
It's got kind of an order to it, but not really. So you're hunting for
You're
stuff.
hunting, and that's what's fun about comic books is the hunt. It's hunting for the stuff, and you have to hunt for some of your stuff.
I've found a lot of books looking for something else that
Yep.
I didn't need that I ended up getting.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, here's an early appearance of Tigra. Yep, I'm taking that. Oh, I own that already. Ah, shit.
Here you go. Here you go, Piper. That's exactly what he did. He goes, I own this. Damn it. Here you go, Piper. Reached back and gave it to her.
No, every time we go down to Lincoln, I try to make an effort to get in there and check things out and see how things are going and see what he's got that's new, because his stock is always constantly getting updated.
I think I would like to go down at least once a month or once every other month and just do all the stores down there, because I've never been to any. Behind the Glass was the first one down there that I've been to.
I've hit all three. All of them are great stores, but by far Behind the Glass
Behind the
is
Glass
my
is the
favorite
best.
down there. You just don't find the back stock like that at a lot of stores anymore.
And he also promised if we tagged him in our posts on Facebook that he'd promote our show for us. So we thank you very much. So that was our fun bit of fun this weekend. Fun bit of fun. Yeah, there you go. Anything else?
Nope.
I don't have anything.
We talked out, guys?
Yeah, we just got to figure out what we're going to do next week.
Yep. I'm going to start out with an apology. I have been giving the wrong email address. Boo! Since I created it. And if you've been trying to email us, I apologize. The correct email address is it's2wordycomicbookpodcast@yahoo.com. If you have questions, email us there. You can find us on Twitter at the it's2wordy1. And the Patreon page, if you want to give us a little bit of your loot, is patreon.com/housebts.
It'll be in the liner notes.
Okay, it'll be in the liner notes, but I just wanted to
No, I don't.
give us a follow.
And if you want to donate your issues of Power Pack to Ryan, let me know.
We can give you the address. Just
If
private
this
message
keeps
us.
up, it may be a two-person show.
Just private message us, and we'll give one of our addresses out to you.
We have plans for those issues, so if you don't,
If you don't want to give them to Ryan, you can just give them to us. So
they'll make their way some way to Ryan.
yeah. All right, guys.
How's your new desk, buddy?
All right, guys.
Very small.
So is Power Pack.
Yeah. Read more comics. Have fun. We'll talk to you next week. This has been Kirk.
Nick.
Ryan.
Bye.
They fly on silver wings. They fight with nerves of steel, partly metal, partly real. They are the Silverhawks. Born of a time beyond time, they sacrifice their human bodies, modified to withstand the stress of their long journey through space to the galaxy of Limbo. Sent there to defend the universe against the terrible Monstar and his intergalactic mob. Yes Man, Buzzsaw, Mumbo Jumbo, Windhammer, Molecular, Poker Face, Hardware, and the musical madness of Melodia. Silverhawks, their leader, Quicksilver, and his companion, Tallyhawk. The invincible spy satellite and interceptor. The tough-as-nails super twins, Ironheart and Iron Will, true to their names in heart, soul, and spirit. Blue bluegrass, guitar-picking ace pilot of their incredible ship, the Mirage. And from the planet of the mines, the Copper Kid. Their commander, Stargazer, directs the team from his orbiting headquarters, Hawk Haven. The Silverhawks, the first super androids with the minds of men and the muscles of machines.
Silverhawks will be back after these messages.